Today is Monday, November 3rd, 2015, and today's rant will be on the Bazaar, as in B-A-Z-A-A-R, war that's going on in Syria right now. Now, recently, both Russia and Iran have become involved in the war in Syria. We know that Iran has already suffered casualties, including, I believe, a general. And we'll see how that plays back in Iran. Of course, they're trying to protect the Shiite al-Assad in Syria. Russia wants to keep its air base that's there and wants to keep its port that's there. Not port, they're not theirs, but they have the agreement with the Assad regime. Now, there are so many things going on here, it's hard to decipher how anything good can come out about this. But we have the Turks involved, we have the Iranians involved, we have the U.S. involved, we have the Kurds involved, we have the Jordanians involved. Who else? The Syrians involved. And of course, the Syrian civil war has been going on for about 4 years right now with no end in sight. Not only, but at the same time, Assad is losing power, but there's no one there to replace him. So all of a sudden, we have more players coming in. Now, my humble feeling is that the United States should only concern itself on getting rid of ISIL. There are about 2 or 3 cities in the eastern part of Syria that basically we need to get rid of ISIL, and we need to get rid of ISIL in Mosul, and that can be done. I'm not saying it would take a quick amount of time, but that should be the sole concern of the United States. The Assad thing will play out in itself. Now remember, the U.S. has always advocated that Assad had to go. Russia's in there saying Assad's got to stay. Now they just came out with a statement, meaning the Russians said they don't necessarily say Assad has to stay. So that means they're willing to throw him under the bus. But as long as they get what they want, they're happy with that. Now, the Turks just had an election, and the guy who won the election, he's ready to go after the Kurds. And remember, the only people right now that the United States know that they can trust in eastern Syria right now, and be an actual partner to, is the Kurds. They don't know if they can trust any other rebel regime, rebel group, whatever. So fighting ISIL is very, very important, and letting the whole Assad thing play its way out is really not part of the United States' concern, because if they can maintain, with the help of the Kurds, the link between those eastern cities in Syria and in Mosul, then that helps solidifies them. Now remember, it's all about oil. Of course, we know that. And the Kurds want to keep their chunk of oil in northern Iraq. The Kurds would like to have the area in eastern Syria. The Kurds would like to have their area back. It's also in part of southeastern Turkey. And of course, there's some Kurd area in Iran. That's not going to happen. That's not what's going to be on the table. But to carve out a niche where we can say that there is something that can happen with however you want to, however it wants to be, in terms of, can there be some type of, not UN group, maybe UN group that is made with mostly Arabs? Would those Arabs be Sunni? Would those Arabs be Shia? Remember, also, Saudi Arabia wants to have a big stake in this also. They want to have a say-so in this. Of course, they're losing a little bit in Yemen, and of course, they're losing a little bit in Yemen to the Iranians. So there's a lot going on. Also want to bring up just a couple things, is that the Iranians have been, how would you say, decertifying, destroying their centrifuges. They've been getting rid of them. They've been dismantling them, whatever the proper term is. They've been doing that. So they're playing their part of the bargain right now in terms of the Iranian deal. Let's see how that goes, but I think that that's a good start. Also, someone by the name of Shalabi, who was a charlatan, passed away in Iraq yesterday. And of course, he was one of the people who the Bill Kristol, Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz, all those characters from the Bush administration, Cheney, etc., they listened to this guy. They bought his story, hook, line, and sinker. He was feeding them bogus information. Judith Miller was writing that information like she was, a personal secretary. for Chalabi. He was a charlatan. And what I say about Bazaar is you go into these bazaars, and I've done this in Mexico, is that you go in and everyone's screaming at you for something, and then they want to play games with the pricing because with Mexico, as an example, they know the difference between the dollar and the peso like that. So they know English like that, so they know how to play the game. And of course, in the bazaars in the Middle East, they're all doing the same thing. But what we have here is we have a war bazaar where Russia is going after the foes of Assad and not necessarily ISIL, whereas we want to go after ISIL, but part of the foes of Assad are Kurds. So we have a real cluster going on out there, and everything is whichever way it could be. Who knows where it could come about? I think they just made a statement. They agreed that they would disagree about something, which again is progress at the same time. Just to get back to Chalabi for a minute, was that we lost a heck of a lot of America in Iraq, and of course. We don't want to see that type of thing again. There should be no boots on the ground in Syria. The 50 or so that are going, I guess that's okay. I don't know how much more we should put up with. And our stake in Syria, let the Russians do whatever the hell they want, so to speak. We need to have Mosul to the eastern part of Syria opened up. We need to get rid of ISIL. And if the Kurds can do what they need to do, we should be accepting of that and supporting of that for them. But again, this whole idea, everyone's barking, everyone wants something, everyone wants to stake their claim, everyone has their own purpose to being there, they all want a certain amount of results that they want to get out of it. As I said, Russia will put Assad under the bus once they know that they can get what they want without having to have Assad in there. So Assad could actually be on his way of getting out of there right now. But to maintain a peace, to establish a government, to establish a coalition government, whatever type of government, who would be behind that? Would it be Russia? Would it be Iran? Would it be Saudi Arabia? Would the Turks be involved? Would the Kurds be involved? Would the U.S.? And how to work all that thing out and make some type of government that works? Because what we know is that failed states, Syria, Afghanistan, they don't do the world any good. And we need to move way past that. And the United States can be aggressive and can be a very smart and instrumental player in that and wield a fair amount of power and get what they want. But they have to know how to play the game in this thing, not quite, and realize, especially the Republicans, there's going to be a House hearing, I believe, tomorrow on that. And the Republicans, they've really got to know that whatever we can get out of it is about the best that we can get out of it. And all the bluster and screaming on the Republican part, it just shows that they don't know shit.